Hey there, everyone. My name is Micah Curtis.
I'm Alex Baldwin, also known as The Hatman.
And welcome back to the Overflow, where we take care of the questions that we missed over the last couple of podcasts, the ones we were not able to get to. So, we have a lot to discuss today, so let's go ahead and get right to it. So, not a whole lot when it comes to political stuff. Should we go ahead and hit that, or get the entertainment stuff out of the way?
Well, let's go ahead and do politics.
Okay.
If there's not a whole lot to it, let's just get it over with.
Okay. So some of these are kind of goofy. Some of these are fairly serious questions. So these will be interesting.
Fair enough.
Leonardo Juan wants to know if we would one-punch ISIS. I'm assuming that's a One Punch Man reference, in which case, very yes.
Very yes.
Brian Gilmartin wants to know thoughts on Kanye West being a Trump supporter.
Oh, man. We could do a whole video on that one alone.
I already did today, or kind of.
Yeah,
just on one facet of it. I've done two, actually, because it's interesting. Him being a Trump supporter really isn't that big of a deal, in my opinion. I think that the thing about it is or like with him, it's not the issue. It's how everyone is reacting to him is the real question. That's the real interesting part. Because culturally speaking, Kanye West is a big figure in today's culture. Big figure. Yep. And I can understand why he would vibe with Trump. In the same way I can understand why a lot of young black men would vibe with Donald Trump. He's rich. He's not afraid of his wealth. He's got a hot woman on his arm. You know, he is basically what having hung out with black men most of my life is what young black men see as the American dream.
Or at least, pop culture American dream.
Yeah, but it's not that far off when you think about it. I mean, what American does not want, well, male American, doesn't want a good-looking woman on his arm, a ton of money, and a lot of success?
A gay American male, maybe?
Well, that's why I said straight. Or did I? I don't. No,
you didn't specify
okay,
straight.
Well,
I got you on that.
Straight American male or a lesbian, like that, or bisexual. It's like that. That's the picture. That's the picture for a lot of Americans that they won't admit, and that's something that actually drives me crazy because I see so many guys that say it's like, oh, I just want the house with the white picket fence. Shut up. No, you don't, and I don't either. If I had something in my life that made me super successful tomorrow, and I could have that kind of a lifestyle where I'm being taken to my meetings in a limo and I've got a gorgeous wife and so all that and millions of dollars, dude, I would enjoy it.
Lifestyles of the rich and famous. I'd go for it. Why not?
Yeah, I think anybody who says that they would not enjoy that kind of success is a liar. And Kanye West is one of those guys that has gotten there through his talent. I'm not a big fan of rap music. I probably never will be. I haven't liked rap. I haven't liked rap since the 90s. Shows how old I am. But the at the end of the day, it fits. It makes sense. I'm surprised there aren't more hip hop guys that like Donald Trump. So. But the cultural aspect is that if Kanye West is willing to say, one, that if he keeps comparing the Democratic Party to a plantation, and two, he continues to talk with people like Charlie Kirk and Candace Owens, it could change the vote for the next election.
Well, maybe.
And here's the thing: the Republican Party, for better or worse, has treated the black voter base like it's a foregone conclusion that they're always going to vote Democrat. They have given up. Well, the people who aren't running for office have not given up. Every conservative wants more conservatives. Doesn't matter what skin color they are. There is to those of us on the ground, there is no such thing as a lost demographic at all. And I would think, and here's what gets my goat the most. I would think that the people that would be hardest to not get to vote Democrat would be white European immigrants because they're coming over from the EU. Mm-hmm. African American and Latino culture is very conservative. And I speak this because I've lived around them for most of my life. Very conservative in comparison to a lot of other political parties. You know, like that's what they would gel most with if you could sell them on it, if more black men could be sold on it. You know, calling Kanye West and Uncle Tom just does not fit. So, it's...
No, not really, no.
It's one of those things... I think it was Michelle Malkin did a article recently that said that the Uncle Tom insult is now dead because of this. I can't help but agree with it. It really is dead. So, but needless to say, yeah, I'm glad, you know, I'm fine with him being a Trump supporter. The big thing is what the effect this will have culturally in the long term.
Yeah. I honestly, I don't really care one way or another if he supports Trump or doesn't support Trump. I honestly just don't give a damn about Kanye West either way. I mean, until he actually gets the fish sticks joke, I'm not going to care about his personal life. But just the amount of outrage that this has generated is very entertaining. I mean, to see how people have suddenly turned on Kanye, I think just speaks to the times that we're living in.
Yeah.
I mean, how many people like have now trashed his name? We just had an article from Ta-Nehisi Coates saying that he wants to be white now because he identifies with Donald Trump. That means he's trying to identify with whiteness, and that
wasn't even the argument. His argument is that Kanye's version of free thought, which is actual free thought, is apparently white thought.
Well, yeah, that's pulling basically from the root, but I mean that's how Ta-Nehisi Coates thinks in general. It's the irony of purple prose in black and white thinking.
Yeah, he's the Black Richard Spencer at this point.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I mean, well,
because that's Richard Spencer's argument too, is that there is black thinking and white thinking. It's also what who's that other sophist who calls himself a philosopher that's an alt-right guy? Jared Taylor says the same thing constantly.
Yeah.
Thinks that there's a civilization gene that there's no evidence of that black people don't have.
Honestly, it's kind of funny. Having read some of Ta-Nehisi Coates' stuff, yeah, they're really not that far off.
They're not.
Definitely not. But you know, we don't have a whole lot of time to go into that.
No,
I think it's just hilarious to see the mental gymnastics and the freakouts over this. I'm loving it.
Yeah.
They don't know what to think.
All right. Let's go with Duke of Tumwater here. He says, why do SJWs believe that racial differences are socially constructed, at the same time try to divide people based on race? You kind of answered your own question there, man. It is a contradictory statement. They don't understand their own contradictions. They never will. Ever.
No.
How closely do we think race and culture are? Not as close as you'd think. Reason being is that culture is defined by the people group, but it's also defined by location and also by religious belief. There's a lot of factors to it. I can't think of a book offhand that... Well, the humanist tradition kind of goes into it. But, The idea that race defines culture is just not true. That is the one thing I would say above all. You know, there's a lot more factors to it. In fact, I would actually say that geographic location has much more influence on culture than anything. So, or at least over time, it's shown that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look at how many belief systems and pantheons are based on weather. And how certain pantheons and polytheistic religions are based, you know, their whole mythos is based around the weather systems of the region. It's crazy when you think about it. So yeah, they're not that closely tied. And the thing about culture is that it is largely malleable. You'll find many instances where people who aren't of the color of the region, you are able to fit into that culture in one way or another. If a black man who is born in, let's say, New York on day 1, day 2 is adopted by an Irish couple and grows up in Dublin, he's Irish by the time he's 18.
Mm-hmm.
He has adopted the culture. I was adopted from a German and Scottish family into a family where my dad is Irish and French and British, I think, and my mom's kind of a hodgepodge like that too. And the culture I ended up adopting was a wholly Christian one.
Mm.
That's because that's what I was raised in. It's more nurture than nature. So, but that's the long and short of it from my end. Hatman, do you have anything to add on that?
Not really. I think you pretty much nailed it. It's basically just culture and ethnic group as opposed to race. And for those of you who think, oh my God, he just contradicted himself. No, ethnicity is not the same as race.
Ethnicity is considerably more specific.
Yes.
Do we think that some criminals can't be held accountable for their actions due to mental illnesses that they may have? Rare cases, but yes.
Yes. Extremely rare cases.
Ryan Potter wanted to know, so I love how he phrases this. So Dr. Shapiro's husband and a water filter merchant got into a fight about Orange Hitler's dragon brother Yeezy and the woman we need to save Dave from. Is this a better crossover than Infinity War? No. But,
No.
The whole...
I just got back from Infinity War the second time, and no, it's not better than that.
No, but the whole Alex Jones, Ben Shapiro thing was kind of funny, because the only people that took any offense to Ben saying don't go on InfoWars was Candace Owens and the InfoWars fans. Do I think that Alex Jones really was that offended by it? No.
No.
Ben Shapiro was laughing about it, so he's obviously not offended about it. He just thought it wasn't a big problem. InfoWars fans were the ones who got super butthurt about that. And I thought that was incredibly childish. Because, they're like, oh, now Ben Shapiro's against free speech. What?
Oh, my
what
Lord.
crack pipe are you smoking, you dumb fucks?
I think the tinfoil is cutting off the circulation of their brains.
Apparently so. 'Cause, look, free speech goes both ways. You are allowed to say what you want. So am I. My speech can be criticism of your speech. And if you can't deal with it, you don't have to listen to me. Freedom for everyone. I'm allowed to say something's a bad idea. It doesn't mean that I don't never want you to ever speak again. Or even keep doing what you're doing. If you think that I'm right, listen to me. If you don't, move the fuck on. But don't sit here and say, oh, you're against free speech. Shut up. InfoWars is not the bastions of free speech. Go away. It's ridiculous. Or don't. Again, freedom. You can do whichever you want. All right. Anything to add on that one, Hatman?
I love freedom.
Me too. All right. So, the other question that was asked is a little bit more serious. He says he saw Aiden's video on incels and loneliness yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
He says, while I was in
it's a good video.
Yes, very good video. While I was in the throw... Oh, and real quick, her and Brian Martinez of the Honey Badgers also did a follow-up podcast on it that you guys should listen to. It's also really good. He says here, while I was in the throes of feeling lonely for not having a girlfriend, I watched it. You can only say, seek first the kingdom of God, and all these things will be given unto you before you start hurting again. I need help. Alright. So... I haven't discussed this whole incel thing because I'm still trying to process all the angles. There is something that has to often be considered when it comes to loneliness. Why am I lonely? What am I missing? Because that's what loneliness is it is a recognition of something that you do not have. What am I missing? Well, you're missing company. You're missing socialization. You're missing people to talk to. And some studies have suggested that having internet buddies can help a little bit, but not really that much in the long run. And that's why I tell people, you sit on your computer all the time, it will inevitably kill you. Because that's what a lot of incels do. They sit on the computer and they consistently feed their own anger, feed their own depression, and continue to feed those negative emotions through whatever means they can. And then they sit all the time and they blame the, what is it that they call women? Like hot, really hot. Stacy's. Yeah, they blame the Stacy's and the Chads and the... Look. Being better than what you are is not hard. Or at least understanding that you need to be is not hard. It's about getting from A to B. But what you have to say right out of the gate is this. Why am I not attracting the type of woman that I want? That I want to be with? Why am I not attracting her? And then you have to look truth hard in the face and understand that the truth is going to hurt when it comes to that answer. Maybe you got the problem I do and you're overweight. You know? Maybe you're kind of awkward around people. Maybe you have a weird sense of humor that a lot of other people don't get. You know, maybe you do spend too much time on the internet and your humor is totally meme-based. Which oftentimes, if that's the case, you're going to have a hard time talking to normal people. Like, meme talk is what I like to call it, does not fit with normies. It just doesn't. They don't get it. No. They don't spend all their time on the internet. If they do see a meme, it's like 3 months old. And they still find the Kermit the Frog one amazing. So you have to ask these things of yourself, because here's the thing. God will sometimes hand you something, but oftentimes he won't. He will put you in a position to give you the strength to earn it. So my advice is this. Do not think that you are entitled to something better than what you have now. Don't. That sort of thought process is what ends with you always being lonely. If you want something better than what you have to go out there and earn it. If you want to be the type of person that women want to be with, ask yourself, what do I have to do? Do I have to get better physically? Do I have to get better mentally? What do I have to improve? Because if you're out and you're social and you're talking to girls and nothing's happened, it's not them that's the problem. It is you. And that's something that I've had to address lately. It's like it's like the problem is with me. Yeah, I might have a great personality. I might be the type of person that once you get to know me, you want to talk to me and stuff, but I have to be able to breach that barrier. And that's not easy to do when you're a giant, fat guy like I am. Something's got to change. Thankfully, I've started losing weight. So the process has begun. But this is part of the reason why I'm so happy that Jordan Peterson is becoming an influential person culturally, is because one of the, what he says in 12 Rules for Life is not wrong, man. You have to understand that there is a structure there and it has a purpose when it comes to attracting a mate. And you have to consistently be the person that people want to be with. It's not always going to be the case that you're just such a dynamite human being that everybody wants to be with you. Those kind of guys are rare. And even then, that sort of thing is not permanent. I can speak from experience on that one. Because I had quite a few prospects when I was in college. My freshman year was a good year. But since then things have deteriorated because I let them deteriorate. And I'm going to get that back. That I guarantee you. But that's the attitude you have to have. Is not, I am owed this, because nobody owes you anything. I'm going to earn this. And beyond that, don't think of a woman as a cure for loneliness either. Because getting a girlfriend, man, is only the first step in a long line of steps to conserving a relationship, which takes time. You need to be able to cherish a human being. You need to be able to understand that love is not a feeling. It's not. The elation you get from love is a wonderful thing. It's like a drug. But love is not an emotion. Love is a verb. Love is an action. It is defined by what you do, not how you feel. If you feel a certain way, that should drive your actions. Another thing I have experience in not doing. It should drive you. I love you, ergo, I am going to do X, Y, or Z for you. And I understand that a lot of the things that I'm saying are kind of harsh and are basically... I hope I don't come across as patronizing, but I am dead serious about this because you have to be dead serious about this. This is something you have to wake up and look in the mirror every day and say, I'm going to try to be better today. It's not easy to do. Because sometimes that means you got to go out running. Sometimes that means you got to lift weights. Sometimes that means you got to stay off the computer for a while. Set goals. One thing that I've been doing is I've been listening to Jocko Willnick's podcast. And if you want a podcast that's going to get you up off your ass, that's one of them. Because I was raised by a military man. Like I said on this week's podcast, the special edition, my dad, 101st Airborne, tip of the fucking spear. Back when that division meant something. You can't be lazy around that kind of person. You have to earn laziness. You have to bust your ass so you can actually find the time to rest. But when you do it, it will make you better. And the better you get, naturally the more women will be attracted to you. But if you're sitting on your computer all day with memes and YouTube videos and video games and all this stuff, those things are good in moderation. Just in the same way that I should have learned 10 years ago that carbs were good in moderation. I overdosed on them.
Everything's good.
Yeah, well, I've overdosed on them. Now I can't have them. Or else I'm not going to lose weight. So, you got to go forth and kick ass, man. You can't sit on your duff, as Chesty Puller would say, and do nothing. You have to be active. Or else people are going to just think that you're just some guy in front of a computer chair. So where I would start, just to recap all of that, ask the question, what am I doing wrong? The answer is not, I'm not doing anything wrong, I'm perfect. You're not. Are you human? Then you're not perfect. But you ask yourself, what am I doing wrong? Second, you need to draw up a plan of how to improve yourself. Is there something wrong with my character? Is there something wrong with how I approach people? Is there something wrong with my body? So on and so forth. Is there something wrong, something along those lines? Get honest opinions from people. Third, have a plan of action. What am I going to do to better myself? Am I too coarse with my words? I need to learn to soften up. Am I too pudgy? I need to start exercising. Am I, is there something wrong with my looks? Do I need to take better care of myself? Do I need to groom better? Do I need to cut my hair more often? Do I need to shave more often? So on and so forth. All of these things have to be figured out. And from there, once you start improving yourself, you will notice that more people will be drawn to you. If you don't think you're smart enough, start reading. Start listening to people smarter than you on a consistent basis and listening to their ideas. Am I not physical enough? Start lifting weights. I've got the big-ass heavy bag here, and I've got my big-ass weights. But I've been lifting weights since I was 17 years old, and I'm 32. You know, I can handle weight. If you can't, I know the person who asked this question is young. If you can't, don't worry about it. You've got all your life to get stronger. But you need to start now or it's never going to happen. You know, whatever you need to do, do it. The only wrong answer is doing nothing. Because that's what most incels do. Is they sit on their butt and they get angry at the world via the internet. And they never look at themselves and say, am I the problem? Ever. And I'm not telling you to be... Hold on, real quick. I'm not telling you to become a Chad. I'm telling you to become better than that. Be a man of God. A man of God. That will help. Go ahead, Hat.
In a way, it almost goes back to that old saying, no one is going to love you unless you love yourself first. That sounds a little bit harsh. I think I would probably amend that to, you need to like yourself first. You need to find a reason to like yourself. And if there's, nothing there, if you are self-loathing and whatnot, then find something to change. There's always room for improvement. And then once you actually like yourself, then you'll be more confident. And people are drawn to confidence. And when you're more confident, you'll do better anyway.
Stand up straight with your shoulders back.
Damn straight, literally.
Yeah. There's a reason that Peterson leads off with that in 12 Rules for Life. That is a confident walking stance.
Yep.
And trust
Eyes
me,
up.
Yeah, trust me when I tell you, it does help. Like I realized like years ago that I was looking at my feet all the time when I walked. It's not confident. So like just a couple of years ago, before I even started listening to Jordan Peterson, I just started walking straight with my eyes forward, like my dad always told me to. Lo and behold, Drill Sergeant Dad was right. So, take all that to heart, man. And it will happen. It's a slow process, but it's a process. But the more you start improving yourself, you will start to feel better. But don't worry about everyone else. You need to focus on working on you. Bucko.
How long does it take to develop a habit? Like 13 days or something?
Something like that.
Do it for 13 days. Just do it for 13 days. That's not that long. It's less than 2 weeks.
Yep. Oh, one other thing I would say, stop watching porn. No, I'm dead serious. Stop. Stop.
That includes hentai, you degenerates.
Yes. The reason I say that is this. You have the freedom to not listen to me, but the reason I say it is this. It does affect the way that you look at women. It will. You have to look, because I know some people that I've met online that have a hard time looking at women like people. Because all they do is watch pornography all the fucking time. It really fucks with your head. And you don't even realize it. It's a subconscious thing. Alright, let's move on to entertainment.
Alright.
Hardboiled Entertainment wanted to ask if he's curious about what exactly we have against Zack Snyder. For him, Man of Steel helped me truly identify and connect with Superman, and the BVS Ultimate Edition is excellent. I haven't watched the Batman vs Superman Ultimate Edition. I don't think it's gonna change my mind. I don't have a problem with Man of Steel. I just think that I think Zack Snyder, a lot of what he puts together is very hollow.
Yeah, that's basically my take too. It's mostly aesthetics. I mean, he's a visual storyteller, but if there's no story to tell, then it's just flashy.
Yeah.
Man of Steel was good for what it was, but it didn't have the kind of depth that I wanted. Batman v Superman is sort of the same thing, although I still enjoyed both.
See, I will probably always hate Batman v Superman because of how terrible the fucking acting was, especially from Ben Affleck. There's no logical sense. Bruce is paranoid for the sake of being paranoid.
Mm. There's one more thing about Zack Snyder, though. He takes forever to tell a story if he's going to do it right.
Yeah. He shouldn't need an extended
editions.
edition to.
Oh my god!
You shouldn't need an extended edition to tell your story. That's bullshit.
Yeah.
Kamen Rider 1 asks, he was wondering if we have heard of Bao. It's a manga by Hirohiko Araki, creator of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. That's pretty much like a superhero horror story. I've seen the OVA of it. It was entertaining.
I know nothing about it, so nope.
Old school gory violence is basically the long and short of it.
Fair enough.
Damien X247 wants to know, we all know dragon maids are heresy, but what's our opinion on dark-skinned anime elves? Even worse.
Dark-skinned anime elves?
Yes.
Is this a thing? Is this really a thing now?
I guess it is, and it has now been filed under heresy.
I was about to say, I thought cat girls were the next thing. But
no, they've been the thing for a while, and they're heresy as well.
Well, they just had a resurgence recently, but
no, they are very much heresy.
It's all heresy, and anime was a mistake, as Miyazaki once said.
Exactly. Hard-Boiled Entertainment also asked, what comic book writers would I, in a perfect world, want on my team? Frank Miller? ? I like Frank Miller, but I think he's kind of past his prime. Brian Azzarello is probably one of my favorites. Jeff Johns is another one. I do like Donny Cates quite a bit.
Priest?
Christopher Priest, of course.
If you could find a way to bring Dwayne McDuffie back from the dead, would you?
Oh, absolutely. In a heartbeat. Why am I forgetting the guy who recently wrote Venom? Before Donny Cates is taking over. Brain, why you no work? I'll look it up real quick.
It wasn't Garth Ennis, was it?
No. Though Garth Ennis I would pick. I still love Garth's work. I would actually pick Cullen Bunn, because I think he's very talented. He just is kind of a dork when it comes to his personal look on things. What is his name? Mike Costa, that's it. He'd be another one I'd pick. And then, of course, Jonathan Hickman as well. Gabe301 wants to know if we like older martial arts movies. Game of Death is awesome. I love Bruce Willis movies, and I also like
Big Boss.
Yeah, I also like the first Drunken Master movie, that Jackie Chan was in. Aside from that, I haven't watched a ton of them.
They're sort of in the category of like kaiju movies for me. It's the stuff that's like really fun that you can get around with a bunch of friends, crack open some beers and just have a lot of fun with.
Basically. Almighty Lolly asks, he had an idea for a dark story with a central antagonist being a family of white supremacists. Any tips on how to write them without making them a stereotype or overly preachy?
All right, I've got one for this.
Yeah, I'll let you take it.
Look into the reason why white supremacists believe what they believe and start there. That is the easiest way to avoid the stereotype. When I was taking a Sociology 101 class, my professor actually gave me a pamphlet with the doctrine of beliefs for, I believe it was the KKK, and it had like everything they believed, why they believed the white race was superior, and then the Bible verses that supplemented that. And I just thought that was so interesting because, we think of the KKK and we're like, how the hell can you believe that? And you see, like, in their minds, this is what this verse means. This is what God means. when he says, yes, it's okay to hate because, I had hated Esau and stuff like that. You're like, damn, that's pretty crazy. But find out where they get those beliefs from and use that as your starting point. And use that as the driving force and the justification behind those characters.
Yeah, I have nothing to add to that. Emperor Joe wants to he's asking about my story, The Godless War. In The Godless War, how would the Europeans react to being saved by the Americans for the 50th time? You're assuming that any of them would be left. I even haven't decided because I haven't finished the how I would even approach that. So, yeah. Damien X247 asks, would the Americans in Godless War repurpose construction vehicles and monster trucks to battle the robot menace? No, nothing like that. The warfare would get a bit more advanced because this would take place 300 years in the future. I forgot to mention that actually. But it takes place 300 years in the future. So warfare is very different. And there's some things that happen in the military. So
you're telling me there's no battle vortex?
Well, I can't say, but what I will say is this, is that the approach to warfare at the beginning of the story has changed and it's insufficient, so they have to change it again during the course of the story. Because some of the older generals were right about the direction things were going in. So, like I said, the whole story is about people rethinking technology and how far they've pushed it. Well, that was the last question.
That's it, really?
That is it.
Wow. All right.
Yeah. All right, folks. We really appreciate you all stopping by today and watching this. If you haven't already, please subscribe here to the Micah and The Hatman channel. There's always good stuff going on. And we will return with the podcast on Saturday. But until then, my name is Micah Curtis.
I'm Alex Baldwin, also known as The Hatman.
And we will see you guys next week. Deus Volt.
Deus Volt.